Join us over the next few weeks as we follow the route of the stunning Northumberland 250. Day 10, and we've woken up to a frosty and misty morning with the starts of a nice sunrise. Up earlier today because we've got a lot to fit in, but a nice quiet park up. Just us here. I'm making no apologies, but today is going to be quite Romanesque. We've got Hadrian's Wall and some places along the wall to visit. Time to get moving. This is just over the road from the car park that we stayed in last night. That's pretty. First stop of the day, and it's not Roman. Look at this inversion. That was just a by the by, but it was too nice not to show you. What we've actually come to see is just over there. We saw this van parked here last night because we had considered parking here, but we thought it was a bit close to them. This is a lime kiln. Not Roman at all. This is Crindledike's lime kiln. One of several lime kilns built in this area in the 19th century to convert local limestone into quicklime for use in farming and building. Limestone and coal were hauled up the ramp and tipped into the pot for burning. The powdered quicklime was shovelled out through the drawing eye at the bottom. After being slaked with water, it was spread on farmland to neutralise acid pastures. And although it's one of more than 300 lime kiln sites in this county, Crindledike's is the only Northumbrian kiln with 4 draw arches to a single pot. Most lime kilns ceased working in the early 1900s as alternative and cheaper bulk supplies of lime became available. At Crindledike's, production was first cut back by blocking the 2 side arches before it finally fell into disuse. You can't get over to the other side of it, unfortunately. Can walk into this bit. He's just getting some photographs of the inversion there. Well, we're definitely travelling on a Roman road. It's really straight, isn't it? And we're up before the sun's really risen this morning. It's an earlier start for us, as I said earlier. Driving along, there's some really nice inversions.
That's a Roman road.
See how straight that is. we've said before, haven't we, it must have been really mind-blowingly numb for the legionnaires as they marched along, because you never see an end. You might go up a hill or down a hill, but you're still going in a straight line. Next up is a temple. We're at Broccolitia. We've come to a very special place. The landscape is full of clues to our past, but it's also important to our future. Broccolitia Mithraeum, a Roman temple, is situated next to Carrowburgh Fort.
And Carrowburgh Fort is one of the 16 large Roman forts on Hadrian's Wall. It was constructed for a garrison of around 500 soldiers around 130 AD. It remained in use until the end of the 4th century, so that's a fair
while, isn't it?
Yeah. Outside the fort, a civilian settlement had several shrines, including a temple to the god Mithras, that flourished between 200 and 350 AD.
Just heading down to the enclosure now. Broccolitia.
This structure is a Roman temple erected around 200 AD and destroyed about 150 years later.
You can still see wording on it really clearly. Carvings. And an offering of 2p. Mithras was a god of Roman religious practice that emerged in the 1st century AD, whose inspiration came from the Eastern Empire. And worship took place in a small, secluded temple, resembling the cave in which Mithras was said to have killed a sacred bull and feasted with Sol, the god of the sun. It's thought that each temple represented the cosmos, where worshippers underwent a spiritual journey from life to the afterlife and feasted in a ritual celebration of Mithras.
Participants progressed through a hierarchy of 7 grades, the highest called Father. Each step involved an ordeal requiring mental and physical strength in the face of real or threatened peril. Membership was popular among soldiers, and at Carrowburgh, including 3 commanding officers of the nearby fort, who were patrons of the altars.
What I hadn't seen when we had the camera behind was that this stone here is hollowed out with a couple of little holes in there. I don't know whether they're significant or whether they're just from weathering. I hadn't seen this one as we walked through. Looks like a standing figure with his ankles crossed, or her ankles crossed, I presume he. We walked to where the fort was and there's nothing really to see, but
All you can see is this ridge, isn't it?
yeah,
It's only when you get aerial shots you can start seeing the outlay.
yeah. Well, over there in that corner is where the temple is.
So we just walked around.
That's Caraba, the Roman fort, and the temple, Broccolitia. This is our first site, really, of Hadrian's Wall. So, it stood the test of time. Goes on into the other field that way. Built on the orders of Emperor Hadrian following his visit to Britain in AD 122. And it was planned as a continuous wall with a mile castle every Roman mile and 2 turrets equally spaced between each mile castle. The wall, with its defensive ditches and large forts, stretched from coast to coast, a distance of 80 Roman miles, around 75 miles, and it formed the northernmost frontier of the Roman Empire. And it had, as you see on that side, a ditch as well. So you had the ditch and the wall. I thought you were saying something about it, that's what I brought it.
I've read that. I didn't realise it was Blackhart's turret.
So this is Blackhart's turret. Not a lot of information about it.
It's part of the wall. I assume it might be one of the mile castles. I don't know. Or is it that down? Ah, it might be. Right. So this is Black Cart's turret, part of the wall obviously. And it's turret 29A, watching the frontier. Stone tower built by Hadrian's army. The turrets were originally spaced two to every Roman mile, and provided shelter for a small garrison who kept watch and patrol the frontier. Now, this is one of the watchtowers. And that hole here, they think, was a hinge socket for a gate or a door. And the watchtowers were built prior to the construction of the completion of the wall, and you can see there that they're a little bit wider than the wall. They were broad walls, and the rest of the wall was constructed on a narrow wall. So
who was Hadrian? Well, he was born in Italica, close to modern-day Seville in Spain, so he wasn't Roman. He travelled almost constantly throughout the empire and indulged a preference for direct intervention in imperial affairs, especially building projects. He's particularly known for building Hadrian's Wall, which marked the northern limit of Britannia. In Rome itself, he rebuilt the Pantheon and constructed the vast Temple of Venus and Roma. In Egypt, he may have helped to rebuild the Serapeum of Alexandria. He was an ardent admirer of Greece and benefited Athens as a cultural capital of the empire, building in the city the Arch of Hadrian. His intense romantic relationship with Greek youth Antinous and the latter's untimely death led Hadrian to establish a widespread popular cult late in his reign in Judea. He suppressed the Bar Kokhba revolt. His last years were marred by illness. He adopted Antonius Pius in 138 and nominated him as his successor on the condition that Antonius adopt Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus as his own heirs. He travelled, as we say, throughout Europe and spent more than half his reign outside Italy. Prior to his arrival in Britannia, the province had suffered a major rebellion from 119 to 121 AD. In 122 AD, Hadrian initiated... Can't say that word.
Initiated.
I'm trying. In 122 AD, Hadrian initiated the construction of a wall to separate Romans from the barbarians. The idea that the wall was built in order to deal with a natural threat or its resurgence, however, is probably, nevertheless, conjectural.